Renekton's finally better than K'Sante, Rek'Sai randomly got headshot, and a new Azir build suddenly appears in pro play. My name is Joshua Joshi Howard, and welcome to patch 14.4. Let's find out how it's affecting the League of Legends meta. Let's address the elephant in the room. K'Sante has ruled the top lane in professional play since his release, but that might finally be a thing of the past now that he's lost several mechanics. K'Sante lost the slow on his Q when he goes all out, his W has reduced cooldowns and cast speed. It's now significantly harder for him to stick to target when he ults, making his all-in noticeably less threatening. The K'Sante community is not happy about the changes. They've been complaining about how clunky he feels. However, some players are still finding success with Frozen Heart and Jackshot rushes. K'Sante's overall win rate has dropped a little bit, so overall, the nerf has had its intended effect. While K'Sante falls a bit down the pecking order, Renekton, a champion who generally fulfills a similar role as an AD bruiser, rises up. Renekton's health buffs on his ultimate and improved Black Cleaver usage have resulted in his win rate soaring. It's up over 3% from the previous patch. Finally, everyone's favorite Croc is back on top. Lowy had her AD ratio turned down on her passive, with Riot trying to encourage tankier builds. Funnily enough, it's had the opposite effect and made her more dependent on building AD than she was before. And while it might seem like a minor adjustment, her win rate has plummeted from almost 54% down to 50.5%. My advice, consider dropping Iceborne Gauntlet from your builds and instead rushing Shojin or Sterak's instead. Jayce received some small buffs that seriously help out his top lane trading patterns, where he tends to operate in melee form much more often than he does in mid lane, which is why we're talking about him here and not in the mid lane section. Jayce's win rate has picked up a little bit, mostly down to his brawling power being stronger. Be aware that some of the little tricks players learned with Thunder and Glow no longer work. Some Jayce mains aren't happy to lose these tricks, but I'd say these changes are a net positive for Jayce, and the stats agree. Fiora''s attack speed slow was only the slightest of nerfs, considering how much crowd control exists in the top lane, so she's usually getting her stun anyway. Naturally, it's had a small effect on her win rate as well. It's dropped ever so slightly, but not enough to change how you should be playing. However, it makes my favorite boy, Gnar, an even better counterpick. Ahri just got better. I'm rather surprised at how much movement we've seen in her win rate, with it climbing down from 48.5% all the way up to 51.5%. If you were looking for a reason to play her before, give it a try, because Ahri has just become a strong mid laner. One of the big reasons for this is that her Q actually starts one-shotting caster minions as quickly as level 5 if you find yourself with an extra amplifying tone, so you can roam much more effectively towards the rest of the map. Twisted Fate has been a surprising winner of Season 14, with blue card AP ratios meaning he can effectively one-shot mini squishy characters, and attack speed builds being a terror of both the mid lane and the top lane, and even in the AD role. While his win rate has gone down following these nerfs, he still remains a very strong character this patch, with both his burst AP builds and his attack speed ones remaining strong. Expect to continue seeing him in your games. Aurelion Sol, yeah, I guess this is technically a nerf, but he's still one of the strongest mid laners this season. Keep up the good work, Dragon friends. Now let's talk about Azir real quick. No, he wasn't in the patch notes, but Showmaker brought out a new build on him with a much tankier style of play, and it's probably showing up in your games already. You need to go Grasp of the Undying, take Presence of Mind into the Precision Tree, rush Liandry's, and then either Frozen Heart or Abyssal Mask second, depending on the matchup, and then a Riftmaker somewhere along the way. You're not going to do as much damage with this build, but the flashier players among you will get punished less often for going for a Shuriman Shuffle. It's proved effective enough due to Azir's high base damage that you can still find success, but make sure that if you're going to go this route, that there's at least 2 other damage threats on your team, or you'll struggle to actually kill anything. Finally, the moment I've been waiting for, the return of the Volibear. His play rate was so low in the jungle on 14.3 that he didn't even show up on our tier list. Now with a pick rate of nearly 3% and a win rate of 51, we're seeing that the movement speed buff is mattering a lot for both his jungle and top lane styles. Okay, fine. For some reason, Rek'Sai just died. I don't even know why, honestly. This champion wasn't a problem before. However, League fans not happy about these changes either, so much so that the community is even talking about boycotting their favorite champion. With significantly less ability to brawl early in the game from reduced damage, combined with a lot of her damage shifting from physical to magic damage, meaning she can't even benefit from the Black Cleaver buffs. I'm not entirely sure what James Riot was thinking on this one. There's still some adventurous players having some success with Trinity Force though, so give that a try before you completely give up on the champion. A number of supports received buffs and nerfs on this patch, but the data shows that they're mostly placebo. Lulu rewards better Q usage and should go back to maxing E straight away. The Wambulance of Soraka feels better overall, but hasn't moved much in win rate. Zyra lost a bit of damage in the lane, but is still oppressive in the right hands. Thresh and Bard, who are looking to receive more substantial changes that look larger on paper, are mostly chilling in similar places according to our stats. The same builds are succeeding, and their win rates have not significantly changed. So if you were playing them before, keep doing it. Even Maokai, who has had a number of changes targeted directly at his support role, has been seeing very little movement. Turns out he's still tanky enough, and he's got enough utility to guarantee his engages. It's actually made his jungle worse more than anything, because his ability to brawl early in the game has decreased. Three boogie marksmen of competitive play, Varus, Kalista, and Smolder, all received some minor nerfs on this patch. Kalista's nerf was almost entirely dependent on whether her last hitting breakpoint was affected by the change to Rend, and it wasn't. And Auto plus Rend will still kill everything underneath the turret. She's also more mobile now with the recent changes. As far as losing AD doesn't sound like a lot, but similar changes have had marked impacts on champion win rates. This time it didn't, and all of his builds, lethality, on hit, and even AP are all still working. Smolder remains one of the most popular champions in the role, and I can't blame you. He's incredibly fun to play, and both his Essence Reaver and Spirit Shojin builds are having success. However, the changes to his W have convinced some of the pro players that he is not as good as before, and so if you're still watching the professional play, you might see a little bit less of him because he can't build Doran's Ring to start. With Lethal Tempo getting a nerf to early attack speed, but a buff later on for melee champions, it has exacerbated a lot of the scaling of champions in the top lane. Some of the more common users, like Jax, Irelia, Trundle, and Gwen, have other keystones that they can easily shift to, like Grasp of the Undying or Conqueror, and have done just fine. Xin Zhao has seen a very small decrease in win rate, but he can still beat up almost everyone he wants, and he will still be a staple of the competitive scene. The big loser here is actually Yone in both mid and top lane, as he doesn't really have another keystone to move to. Some people are trying Fleet and Conqueror with low success rates, so either despair or rejoice based on how you feel about this champion. To do your own research, discover your own builds, and see our up-to-date tier list, make sure you head to our website at UGG. Thanks for watching our 14.4 patch video, and we'll make sure to catch you on the next patch.